Good morning. Wandering around out here on the farm. It's beautiful out here. It's so quiet and peaceful after what has been quite a week with David Martin, Mina Iskandar, Paulo the cameraman. Everyone forgets Paulo. Don't forget Paulo. He's a man. Everything that happened here was really cool. But I've been seeing a lot of people worried about a lot of things in their gardens. And I have related a lot of stuff in my gardens to life. And I've related a lot of life to stuff in my gardens that I find. Balance is really what I'm here to talk about, is balance. You know, the universe is a funny little thing. And me and Mina, just this morning, we're talking about it. The universe is interesting. It really appreciates when we take care of each other. It really appreciates balance because balance is necessary. It's absolutely a necessity. For light there is dark, for dark there is light. There can't be one without the other. So a lot of people I'm seeing are very frustrated with a lot of things in their gardens. And everyone's always looking for, what can I spray on it? What's the fertilizer? What's this? What's that? And it's not growing, and I can't figure it out, and I'm frustrated, and I just want to give up. And I get it. I've been there. This is a long road for me. We're going on next year. It'll be 10 years. This is our 10th year as of June. We are in our 10th year on this property, and I'm just now figuring stuff out. Some stuff I figured out a long time ago, and others I didn't. And I'm just, hey, I got my first one this year after 10 years. But, without killing a lot of plants and failing, and I'll tell you what, I am a professional failure. I have failed at a lot of things. I have failed at growing a lot of things. I have killed a lot of things. But when I grow something to fruition and I get to harvest just this huge, beautiful crop, and it's delicious, and it's just everything that I hoped it would be, it makes all those failures worth it, because I can appreciate what I have produced so much more. But if you want to produce off your failures, I think it's really important not to get frustrated with the failures, but examine them. Why? Why is the question. Why did I blow it this year? Why did I not get any fruit this year? Was it something I could have done, or did nature just take me out? Sometimes there's just nothing you can do. I had to check this out. So I examine all those things, and that's the way to balance it out. You put it in first, and you didn't know what you were doing, and you did it wrong. Same thing. That's what I do. I put it in. I just throw it in the ground. I didn't know what I was doing. It didn't work. So in order to balance that, I figure out what I did wrong. Study it. Investigate. Look at the roots. Look at the stem. Look at the situation. The balance to throwing something in the ground and not knowing what you're doing and failing is studying it, taking the time to put in the effort and the energy and the work, and then to succeed. But it's very odd, but most of this is so simple, and that's the frustrating part, is we want to complicate things. All of us. I want to complicate things. I always do. But then as I have stepped back away from complicating things and stepped back away from trying to control everything, really is the biggest thing. Stop trying to control everything. Stop trying to kill all the weeds. Stop trying to kill all the bugs. That's so much effort that goes into that, when you can there's so many workarounds. Instead of trying to destroy what nature put in place, because every bug is part of the system. Every weed is part of the system. There's purposes for all of this here. The earth was put together. I don't know who did it. Was it natural progression? Was there a higher force involved? I don't know. I have some beliefs, but I'm not really gonna put my beliefs out publicly, what I believe, because I couldn't even define it, honestly. But I do know that it's a very intricate system that has been put on Earth for us, and everything you can imagine is here. Like, look at this, for example. How do you find a tree that fruits right on the trunk like this? This is one of the most magical things I've ever seen. Look at these jabuticabas. They're so cool. But it's for everything you think you've seen, there's a balance to something you haven't even imagined existed. So I highly encourage, upon failure, and this is a really good time of season for failure, when bug pressure is heavy, things are hot, plants are dying. That's a great thing right there. It's hot. My plants are dying because they can't stand the heat. Well, maybe you shouldn't put shade cloth over it because it's just not the right time of year for it. Maybe just plant what belongs in the ground at this time of the year. It is those kind of things. Putting shade cloth on something, I'm sure there are benefits to it. I don't do it. I don't use it because it's just, for me, it's a battle against nature. And I'm never going to try and beat nature because I will never win. I'm just a speck. I'm a grain of sand on nature's radar. So for me to try and control it is ludicrous. I'm just going to do my best to work with it. And I just try and examine how, what I did wrong, how I did it wrong, and how can I do better on the next run. Squash, they're done. We squeaked a few out. I got a really nice Sakil squash sitting on the counter. I'll get to pull some seeds out of it. That was a good experiment. I failed big on that Sakil squash. I even put a post up about it, a video about it, and it was growing like crazy. But I didn't put the effort in. I didn't put the time in. And I have also found that nature, the universe, call it what you want, you get it out what you put in. I planted that seed. I looked at it for the first couple weeks. The vine started to grow. A few fruits developed. I did manage to harvest them and eat them. They were really, really top quality. And then it seemed like it was on its own. I walked away from it and it crashed. I stopped putting effort in. I stopped getting the reward. And I think that it's like everything in life, everything, whatever you put effort into, you will receive rewards. And gardening has taught me so much like that. So very much. It teaches me about life every day if I can relate the things that I learn out here to my life. It makes my life easier, and it makes things better, and it allows me to deal with situations better and deal with people better. It allows me, because I want to grow. I want to grow as a person. I want my plants to grow. So I try and grow as good as I can. And what are the best conditions for growth for a human being? Proper food, proper water, the right amounts of food, the right amounts of water, the right balance of these nutrients. It's not just our plants, it's us too. Not being self-destructive, not doing things that harm my body. Discipline has been a huge thing. It's for me, I have to discipline myself, and we work a lot here, and it's tiring, and it's 7 days a week. So we really have to focus on nutrition a lot so our bodies can run optimally, to keep up, because if I don't, I can't keep up. I collapse. I don't have it. I don't have the energy to get up in the morning when I haven't fueled myself properly. And our plants are going to do the same thing. If we're not fueling these things properly, we're not going to reap the benefits of a gorgeous pomegranate. I love these things so much. This is Vietnamese red. I placed this plant where I knew it would do well 3 years ago, based on some previous experience of failing with some other pomegranates. I grew a few, I got a couple of fruits, but they really didn't do very well. And there's another one. There's lots of them on here. But after a couple of years of growing them, and I actually pulled them out of the ground, moved them around, and I found them. I found their spot, and they're really happy now. Even the little dwarfy, which was my experiment pomegranate, I found that they didn't like full sun. I found that they liked a little bit of shade, a little bit of sun, but a little bit of shade, and They didn't really need any nutrients. They didn't really need any water. They didn't need anything. They just needed to be placed in the right spot. But I wouldn't have known that had I not failed on the first trees. So really, I really, really highly encourage you, when you fail on a plant, or you kill a plant, or kill a tree, or something's not thriving, to just get depressed and say, I'm not a good gardener, or I can't do that, or I can't grow that, or that doesn't grow here. None of that is true. None of that is true. There's a variety of almost everything that will grow where we live. Wherever you live, wherever I live, there's always a variety that will grow here. You just got to find it. And maybe the variety you have is exactly right, and you just put it in the wrong spot, or you put it in the wrong soil, or you tried to overfeed it to promote so much extra growth that it just could not handle it, and you actually burned it and killed it. All of that happens. So when you kill a plant, just really back up, examine the situation. We have Google. Google is such a beautiful resource. It's not always right, but it does have a lot of information, and it's a really good reference to look at things and check other people's results and see what they have done and what they've experienced, and take what you want, leave the rest. Find something that applies to you, your situation, or my situation, and then I go out here and I experiment. And that's all this place is. This is a giant 2-acre research center that every time I find a cool plant that puts out any kind of food, whether it be high quality, low quality, whatever, food, if it grows food, I'm going to get it. And I'm going to try and find out, where do you grow it from the person that I got it from? And if they're fruiting it, I'm going to put it in the same situation. I'm going to put it in the same type of conditions. I'm going to try and give it the same amount of water, or I'm going to try and ignore it like that guy's doing. I got a very interesting plant over here. I don't even remember what it was called. I got it from Adam over at Flying Fox. I needed to fill in water out, and I'm like, dude, I got like one tree left. So neat little plant. He sent me the name of it. It's some goofy looking plant, and it produces some weird fruit. But it grew well, and it grew right over here in Sanford at his place. So I looked at how he had it planted, and he had it planted kind of right on the edge of some trees. A little bit of sun, a little bit of shade. So I mimicked it, and it's right there. Just a young one, but she looks real happy where I put her. So I hope that this isn't just nonsense babble, and that someone can get something out of this. I try not to get too metaphysical on the videos, but I do think that way very much, and it really has helped me to get my gardens to grow and everything to grow, as I've learned to connect to the earth a little bit more and appreciate the earth and appreciate every animal that is here, every bug, every creature that lives here. They all do something. Like this avocado tree. I planted this avocado tree just 2 seasons ago. And this thing is a monster already. Look at the trunk on this. It's awesome. This is a Brogdon, and it's already hanging a bunch of fruit. Like 2 years. And it's already blowing up. So I didn't have much to do with that. I planted it properly after planting and killing a lot of other avocado trees. But a lot of examining my situation, where the avocado needed to be, what its situation needed to be, and every tree is just different. Every single one of them is different, and every property is different. So you have to look at your property, and you have to compare it to other properties. You can't come to my place in DeLand, Florida, and expect your place in Melbourne, Florida to grow similarly. It's just not going to happen. We're very different climates. We have different conditions. For example, I had a buddy years ago lived right over here in Lake Helen, not 5 miles from me, like straight shot, just a couple miles. And we shared a pack of Blue Lake bush beans one year. I got like a big giant bag, and we shared them. I planted half, I handed him the bag, he went home, he planted half, literally the same day. And we were gonna race, he had really top quality soil, lived on a horse farm, and they've been spread manure on that area for like 25 years. So his soil far outworked mine. So his beans blew up, and they got really big, and he had beans all over them. And mine were there too, but I didn't have as much as he did. But then this cold came through and completely flattened his. 100% cellular collapse. His plants turned to mush overnight. And my beans outside unprotected stood perfectly happy. And I harvested big batches of beans off that whole rack. I mean, we were right around the corner from each other. So wind conditions, climate, microclimates, all that stuff has a huge, huge impact. So that's a lot of the studying and examining that we have to do in order to thrive and be successful with a lot of these plants that we want to grow. Visit other farms and look at what they're doing and see if you can mimic it, whatever they're doing well. I don't grow everything well. What I do grow well, I produce and I fruit, and we eat pretty good here. But there's definitely a bunch of people, I just look to them and say, how does this work? What am I doing wrong? Why is this not working? Just some people that I've seen being really, really successful with a lot of plants and a lot of research that they've done. And I think it's very similar to this, is they've failed. Everyone's failed. I don't know a single grower that has not killed a tree. I don't think it exists in the world, especially as professionals. Anyone who's a professional grower, we've probably killed more than anybody. I'd be willing to bet that that I have killed far more plants than any of my customers ever have. But I grow a lot because I propagate a lot and I study a lot, and I'm passionate about it because it keeps me strong, keeps me healthy. So if you can relate your plants to people, a lot of times I'll say give a plant a name. Name it, grandma. My grandma figs are over there. They're doing great. They got figs all over them. I love my grandma. I want to take care of her. So I can think of it like that, and it really gives me a different view on taking care of my plant. Well, grandma is not fruiting right now, and she probably should be. I bet grandma's hungry. I should probably feed grandma. It's goofy, but it works, and I produce food. So how do you argue that? But balance. Find your balance. If you're putting in too much effort, back off. If you're not putting in enough effort, give it a little more. Study it. Google it, talk to people. If you see someone post online, look at this giant squash harvest that I just got. Ask them how they did it. Ask them what they did. Ask if maybe you could even learn from them and visit them. And everyone's being successful with different stuff. Squash has just been an uphill battle for me forever. I've pulled off Seminole pumpkins pretty successfully and a few others, but I just have such a huge moth population because of these oaks and all this here. Moths and caterpillars and vine borers and all that stuff. It's just insane. So rather than trying to be a professional squash farmer, I just embrace it and grow things that they generally don't attack. My fruit trees, all my edible greens, there's lots of berries and things that they don't even think about. But there's lots of other stuff that they do. So I will always plant squash because it keeps the bugs busy. And then they'll leave some other stuff alone. I mean, they're gonna have to eat. They're gonna eat something. A packet of yellow squash seeds is real cheap, and I can plant them all over my property. I'll put in 2 or 3 seeds, all different areas in the property. And that is a magnet to a lot of those bugs. So they're gonna have to eat something, and they will eat whatever you need. We've been using this right here. It's right, look at that, right there as I'm speaking about it. That is a stink bug of some sort. There's lots of them. Notice what plant that's on. That is on a Solanum nigrum, black nightshade. What most people say, get it out of your garden. It's horrible, it's dangerous, it's poisonous. Well, it's not poisonous. It's poisonous when it's green, when the berries are green. But when they're black, they're not poisonous. They're fine. But that little bug right there is eating on this plant. I don't care about this plant. I'm not trying to make a black nightshade shake. What I'm trying to do is keep the bugs off of the things that I do want to eat. And I've been harvesting tomatoes daily. And stink bugs are usually a monster. Beans too. They tear the beans apart. They want those proteins. So all of that stuff, as long as I let other stuff grow for them to eat, I don't have to worry about it. All right, today's my day off. It's been a long week. I'm gonna relax and chill. And well, I say that, but I probably won't. I'll probably be out here propagating. But have a good day, my friends, and try and find balance in your gardens and in your lives.